Hello, I'm Maria Hall Brown, and this is LA Currents. Well, it's history in the making. The first woman fire marshal of the LA Fire Department is about to become the first woman chief of the LA Fire Department. I'm delighted to welcome back to LA Currents LA Fire Chief Nominee Kristin Crowley. So good to have you back.
So wonderful to be here. Thank you.
I'm sorry. When you were here literally 6 months ago, I gave you the definition of being a trailblazer. My goodness, are you building roads quickly? You are really, it's 6 months is not a long period of time to go from one very important position to another. What did you think and feel when you found out that this was going to be your next opportunity?
I tell you, my feelings were really mixed. I was very excited. I was not shocked, but like you said, the timing of it, I wasn't quite sure when and if this would ever happen. So when the mayor approached me and we had a number of conversations, and then eventually when he made that decision to make me the nominee, I took a deep breath and say, okay, let's do this.
Well, it obviously bodes well that you were pretty good as a fire marshal.
I would hope so, to be considered for this next round. And I also had the opportunity to act as the chief deputy of our administrative operations. Right. So over the last couple months, so that really kind of opened up my perspective, and that will even push me further into, I believe, to be a better fire chief, because now I have that experience under my belt as well.
I'm joking about the fact that this seems like a very rapid trajectory, but obviously you've had a very long and illustrious career, starting actually as an EMT. So, this definitely has been something that has been many, many, many years in the making. You talk about mentors. You talk a lot about mentors. I've heard that. So who have you looked to give you all of these touch points along the way?
Right. So I've been really fortunate to have a number of people, and that's really part of a strategy when you're entering into a career is your relationships. And as you build relationships and you start to understand, okay, who's there and who's your supporter, who can you help and support, and that's the give back part. But I've had a number of people throughout my career have literally kind of taken me by the hand and said, hey, Kristin, you have something special. We really think that you could do something for this organization. And pretty soon I'm their peer, and then all of a sudden they propel me above and past them in a higher rank. And so I have had a number of people and been very fortunate in that regard, both men and women who have been big parts of my career. So I've been very fortunate there.
And is it just the fact that they had confidence in you, or are they giving you hints and tips as well?
I think it's a combination of it all, and that's where the mentorship really is important in any career, because sometimes you need that little nudge, sometimes you need that little push to say, okay, hey, you have something special. Sometimes it's internal, like you have to have that internal drive and maybe actively go out and seek people and then show them what you're bringing to the table and what value you bring to the organization. So I think it's a combination of a lot of those things. And then just making sure that you listen and that you look at everything holistically to help you make better decisions of timing of when opportunities come up, and then how you can set yourself up for success.
And I also know that outside the department, you have taken some pretty proactive steps on your own to make sure that you are, aware and educated. I mean, you've taken a lot of extracurricular educational programs.
Right. So, and that's just, I think, an internal thing specifically that I knew was really important for me, because it's important you're credible and you're confident in your skill set within your organization. But for me, that lifelong learner piece I knew that was really important throughout my life. No matter what I decided to do, I knew I always wanted to push and to learn more. And even more so, it's really important that you kind of get off that island, right? So that you can understand there's a lot of other organizations or industries that may be struggling or may have solutions, and that's where you can network on a national or international level. I've been to Harvard programs, I've been to USC programs, I've been to the National Fire Academy, and all those different experiences then allow me to reach out, and you talk about the mentoring piece, and to share stories, and to, most important, you can share solutions.
All right, along those lines, now you are going to enter into a position. There's a lot of responsibilities, and I would imagine that you are prepping what you consider to be your priorities and first and foremost as chief. So what are some of the things that are immediately going to be sitting on your desk and that you want everyone to know that that's what I'm going to work on.
Right. Yeah. So absolutely. I mean, I already have to be forward thinking and understanding like what are the immediate needs, what are the more intermediate needs, and what are the long-term strategies. So first and foremost, and this is kind of what I've been communicating up to this far, and then to the point where then I'm actually in the fire chief's position, that'll be clearly articulated across our department. So the members understand, hey, this is the direction, this is a vision, but more importantly, it's our members and firefighters and sworn civilian individuals need to understand that I'm going to be bringing everybody along with me in this journey. It's not just going to be me saying, hey, we need to do this, because I don't have all the answers and I already know that. So the collaboration in the very front end is what I'm going to be building. And I think that's worked really well throughout my career, so I'm going to continue to utilize that. But I think the important piece is that first and foremost, the community knows that we're ready and able to serve them. So the staffing issue is really going to be one of my number one priorities, to make sure that the LAFD remains ready to respond to any 911 call. So that's first and foremost. Another priority will be work environment. We've all heard of the issues that are occurring within our fire department, and work environment, inclusiveness, diversity, and equity are all things across the board that my plan is to really intertwine that into how we make our decisions across the board. So work environment is going to be another big one. Firefighter safety, health, and overall well-being is the third priority right off the bat, where we know that our first responders, you can ask that question, well, who actually helps our first responders when they need help? And knowing just holistically how much the world's been going through, let alone our first responders, my focus will be on our members to understand that we will continue to train and focus on firefighter safety, but maybe a step out and even further that what we've ever done is really focusing on overall health and well-being of our firefighters for the longevity, so that they can come out of their career, not having physical ailments or not having mental health issues or substance abuse issues, just to really lean forward and create that space within our organization that the department's here to support them.
Okay, so there may not be an answer to this, but I'm going to ask it anyways, because you are in a position in which you're on a higher floor. You're sitting there at a desk and you have people that report to you. When it comes to the issues of, say, sexual harassment or some of the problems that have come to light in the news with the department, how can you actually address them? I mean, is there going to be, you can say things, but what control do you as chief actually have to shift that dynamic and make those problems become something of the past?
Right. So first and foremost is recognizing that there's an issue and having a plan forward for that. So obviously the ongoing education is a key for any behavior in the work environment. So that education piece will be ongoing. We've done that to a certain degree, but I want to really take it to the next level. And I also think that the accountability piece is the essential back half of that equation, where it's going to be clearly articulated that if a member does choose to step out of line and treat somebody inappropriately in the workplace, that accountability, the follow-through, the thorough and investigation will be conducted. The discipline side and the zero tolerance then is there will be ramifications if a member chooses to mistreat another member on our department. So the consistency there is what I will bring to the seat, and that's going to be my plan forward.
And with the health and safety of your of the department, does that include high-tech equipment? Does that include mental health days? Does that include, what are the things that would really elevate the camaraderie, the safety, and the health and the ability of the department to be able to move forward?
So I think it's going to be a holistic approach, but the good thing is that we're just at the jumping off point from our department, and I'm a true believer in a strategic plan. So we then, this first year, will be focusing on creating that 3-year strategic plan for our department to have that roadmap and our goals so that we have strategy and tactics. So a big piece of that goal will be from the mental health side. The good news is that our department has already leaned forward to a certain degree, where we have 2 fire psychologists, but we've got 2 fire psychologists for 3,700 members, both sworn and civilian. So we know there's room to grow. We've also already partnered with our labor organizations, where they have 4 fire psychologists part-time. So it's a great 1-2 punch in regard to our members then can choose if they want to go to a department fire psychologist versus one maybe with our unions. So that's a nice road we're going to continue down. But when it talks about the overall growth of our needs, that's going to be my budget ask, will be to grow that program out. Just from the behavioral health side, it's one thing where the members can go to the fire psychologist. Another thing is the training. Like, how do we train our captains and supervisors to lean forward and maybe see some behavioral health issues? So there's a lot of strategies behind that, I think, that we could grow, and that's going to be one of my goals.
And then equipment and making sure that top-notch, tangible things are in place.
Right. So then that's the mental health side, the physical and mental health. So the balance is what I'm looking for. So from the firefighter safety, we're really fortunate in our department to have and lean forward on innovative equipment, but that's one thing. How do we keep our firefighters safe? How do we help them make good decisions? How do we ensure that they have the proper tools and apparatus that are updated and not old and outdated? So that's been an ongoing stream of, let's say, asks for us, but the behavioral health side and mental health is a really important piece for me.
All right. So the last part about what you said in terms of your priority buckets was, staffing. Mm-hmm. And staffing also is part of recruitment. Mm-hmm. And there's two pieces to your job. There's the internal facing, and then there's the external facing. So I would imagine that the external facing is helpful for you to get out there and talk about the opportunities. What's the messaging there? That there's an opportunity for every walk of life, every type of person, every opportunity is here at the LAFD, and what are you saying to get those people in the door that might be our next firefighter?
Sure. So the timing's perfect, right? Because I'll be stepping into this seat with a kind of a new message, a new vision, but we're actually just opening up our hiring process. So people who are interested may not have even thought they wanted to become firefighters. My suggestion is, hey, check it out. Come to one of our training sessions. You might really enjoy what we do as firefighters. If you've never been exposed to it, like I was never exposed till after college, you never know, right? So I think the message is make sure that you keep your doors open and try it out, because the timing is it's a small window. We have a 2-year plan where we open the hiring gates and then all of a sudden they're closed for 2 years. So the window of opportunity, we're making sure we get the message out there that the opportunity is there. We're looking for qualified people who come in and who will be service oriented, that are physically fit, mentally fit, and ready to do the job and serve the community. So the window of opportunity is here and now. So we're going to be pushing that message out to make sure that the community, both local and across the nation, understands that, hey, the opportunity is there for you.
What about the places that would not necessarily be able to hear your message or not necessarily have listened in the past? I mean, communities in which they never thought that they could be a firefighter, or, and I don't want gender to become a thing, but, women who didn't think that they actually would be taken seriously. I mean, are you going into corners that maybe have never been gone into before?
Yes, it's all part of the recruitment strategy. And I think just for me being in the seat and being visible, that's a lot of people go, I didn't even know that there was a female fire chief out there, whatever the case may be. But the messaging is very strategic. We go out in all different communities. We plant the seeds very, very, very early, from our youth fire academies to our cadet programs to our Crew 3, to any way that we can actively go out and show the community that, hey, this is there for you. We have a number of prep programs where we can prep people so they understand how to be successful in the hiring process, what we're looking for our candidates, and also the hands-on approach, because being a firefighter is unique, right? You have to be able to do the job physically, but the good news is we have all these prep programs that are free, that people can come and actually wear the equipment and understand what it actually is going to be like to be a firefighter.
Yeah, because I don't want to get mired in the details, but this is really fascinating because of the fact that you are a trailblazer, a history maker, all those leadership roles that you are now going to have to carry around like a mantle and a cape. But like even universities have decided no longer to have the ACT and the SATs because it didn't seem to be offer the opportunities of equality that it should. So are there different approaches that you're taking in recruitment that haven't been taken before? Or is it, the test is the test?
I think it is a more strategic approach and focused approach. So just being out and having a cadre of our firefighters that go out and actively seek different areas where maybe we never even recruited from. We're always looking, yes, in the colleges, we look in the athletic areas that maybe from the female perspective of having that athletic background is always really helpful. But just utilizing our fire engines, our fire trucks, our ambulances as our recruiting tools, and we make sure that our firefighters are well versed to understand, hey, this window of opportunity, go out in the community and let's sell this message that, hey, the LAFD is hiring. check out, especially social media and everything that we can do on the front end to educate people of what it is to become a firefighter and be proactive in that. I think that we're going to have a really good, diverse candidate pool moving forward.
And I'm totally going to tell tales out of school, because you said it before we sat down that you were a quarterback.
Yes, I was a quarterback. Yes, on an all-boys team. Yes. Yeah.
All right. Have you noticed that things are shifting already because of the opportunities that have been provided to you? Are you hearing from women, maybe even not in the LAFD, but in other organizations that have notoriously been all men all the time, that you have cracked open a door, maybe opened a window, maybe even a little peephole or something, that they have felt that they can move forward?
Incredibly enough, I've had some messages from all over the nation. Actually even got a message from New Zealand the other day. So it's really far reaching, which is really inspiring. And that's really what's motivating too, just to make sure I step up and I'm ready for the position, and just to understand how this impacts people that you may not even realize. I got a really, really beautiful message from a mother who had a beautiful message about her daughter that saw this on the news and started to talk to her mom about this and say, I didn't know that I could do that. So, it's really inspiring, and that's going to keep my momentum going. It's going to keep my energy up just to keep doing what we're doing. But it's actually been somewhat surprising how far-reaching this message is.
And on the flip side of that coin, how are things going internally with the department? Are you feeling confident that you've got the support of the cadre?
Right. So absolutely. The messaging, the well wishes, everything that I've been so far have received been very, very positive. Obviously, you can't make everybody happy. I already know that. I've had a full career of having my eyes wide open. I'm going to do the very best that I can just to make sure that we balance the needs of the community and how we serve them, and balancing the needs of our members. But yeah, all in all, it's been really positive. A lot of people feel super energized, and we just came from a graduation. We graduated 36 new recruits that are hitting the field on Sunday, and it's just really inspiring. It was a really good, diverse class from all walks of life, all different backgrounds. 2 women graduated out of 36. And we just had a good, diverse group of brand new recruits. But it was really inspiring to see them graduate, see their families there. And I just look back like it was yesterday that I was just pinning my badge on as a brand new probationary firefighter. So those events really kind of inspire me and continue to energize, the reason of why I'm pushing, and why, again, I'm going to bring everybody with me on this journey.
I have a theory that it's going to get easier no matter what, because we have, you have young children, and I have not so young, but still she's grown up in a more enlightened environment, that the issues that we are facing now are going to dissipate somewhat, because it's not going to be unorthodox to have a cadre, a wide array of people at the table that, gender aside, upbringing aside, religion aside, politics aside, that they are learning that just as the world progresses. Do you see that shifting somewhat even in the department, as a certain the element of retirement happens and new people come in with the academy,
Sure,
et cetera?
and it's a cycle. We've all been through it. Now I feel like I've actually been here long enough to see this cycle, right? Where you hire a lot of people, and then those people that were hired 30 years ago, now it's their turn to retire. Full, beautiful career with us, and now we've got a lot of people who are retiring, so we have this whole new generation coming up behind, right? So I'm kind of sitting right here in the middle, and I'm looking at this. It's like, okay, how do we capture the institutional knowledge of the members who are now getting ready to retire? That's a focus. And then how do we now create this new pathway for this next generation firefighter? Just like the fire service is evolving, we don't just fight fires anymore. We do a lot of other things. It's all life safety risk, and that's what we do. So it's everything. So the fire services evolved. So this new generation coming in, it's like their turn. It's our turn now to step up and create our new path.
And they might not necessarily have the concerns that others would have had about who's appropriate and who's inappropriate for those positions. And that's what I think is exciting. So you just said something about there's a lot more to the fire department than, going out and with a ladder truck and, plugging into a fire hydrant. So what are some of the exciting things that the fire department or not so exciting,
Right.
or unorthodox, or unexpected does.
Right. So you talk about all risk, right?
Yeah.
So anything that comes our way, and I think we've proven that, especially within my own department with LA City Fire, is the mission comes, we create that space, we're going to come up with solutions. So I think we talked about it last time, but just our ability to pivot. And now with the pandemic, the fire department, we took a huge role in testing and vaccinations. Well, now we're kind of coming out of that. So now we're pivoting back, and now we're focusing on, okay, what's our primary mission? How are we going to better serve the community? So when somebody calls 911, whatever it may be for a fire, 85% of what we do is medical, right? So what are the innovative ways that now we can start to look at evolving kind of the new service model of how we can better serve the community? And that's where our focus should always be, is how can we better serve the community and their needs? So some of the things that we're doing now and that I'd like to grow out is we've got fast response vehicles. These are 2-person fast response vehicles. You don't have a big engine, a big fire truck coming down and rolling onto a certain type of medical call. Now we can send the fast response vehicle. We have advanced nurse practitioner vehicles, units, where we have an advanced nurse practitioner that's an employee with the fire department that can go out and provide advanced treatment, but they don't have to transport. So we're trying to meet the level of need on the medical side by coming up with all these different strategies and different levels of service to better meet. If you call 911, how do we better service you? So those are just a few of the things that we've kind of transitioned into. We have telehealth, where now we can actually have a paramedic or an EMT, one of our firefighters, on scene, and we have nurse practitioners at our dispatch center that can FaceTime and or do a video health call and maybe not have to go to the hospital and wait a number of hours to get treatment. So there's a lot of different innovative ways that we're going to continue to look into and evolve, so that, again, it always goes back to how do we better serve the community.
That's fascinating. So there's kind of 911A, 911B.
Yes. What's the need, right?
Exactly.
What level of need? Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's all right. But there's also, because Los Angeles is a dynamic, ever-changing environment, how are you doing in appropriately serving communities that may have not felt that they were being served appropriately before? How is the disbursement of care being addressed?
Right. So what's pretty amazing about our ability with our 106 fire stations that are spread throughout the entire city is there's the type of system that we have built on the fire side and the EMS side. There's no different type of treatment. If you live on one side of the city versus another side of the city, the truck, the fire engine, the ambulance, all the different apparatus, they're spread strategically so that we can provide that level of care to whomever needs it within the city. So we actually have that ability to do that and have had the ability to do that. So now it's creating that path of, okay, with our current resources, what can we look at to evolve so that now we're meeting the level of care that's required for when you call 911. So that's the good news, is within our 106 fire stations, with all of our trucks, engines, and paramedic rescues and EMT ambulances and specialized apparatus, that it's spread equally throughout the city.
But there are going to be areas that have more calls than other areas.
Mm-hmm, there are, yeah, and we've already adjusted to that. So we're utilizing and leveraging data. We've done that over the past few years, where the workload, right? So if you look in like the downtown area where you have a high density of number of people, of course the likelihood of needing service is higher than somewhere where there's a lot less dense area. Right. So we would add an additional engine, we'd add additional paramedic rescues to help alleviate that workload for the firefighters and firefighter paramedics, but also so now we have a backup to the backup. So if an ambulance is on a call and it's such a busy area, we have another ambulance that is already assigned to that area that could go out to that additional call. So we've already built that into our system, and that's working really well. But we'll continue to look at our numbers, because in 2020, our numbers of incidents went up a tremendous amount. I think it was like something like 14% with the same amount of personnel, right? So then again, that's for me to tell that story, is like, hey, how do we justify the need to ask for more apparatus, ask for more trained personnel, to justify how do we balance the workload and the need of the community?
You get to tell the story to everybody
Mm-hmm.
now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you get to tell the story not only to those that could finance whatever
Mm-hmm.
needs the department has, you get to tell the story not only to your constituency within the department, but you've been telling this story to lots of people like me.
Yeah. Yes.
So how is that going? I mean, the attention must be pretty profound.
It has been. It's been a bit of a whirlwind the last couple of weeks, but I offer it open arms because I know how important it is to get the message out. I know really how significant this is, being the first female fire chief nominee for the city of LA. So, I'm up for it. And I think the messaging is really, really important, that I can get out there and tell the stories of what our department does day in and day out. We've got true heroes that show up every single day and just work their hearts out to serve the community.
Are you writing any of this down? Because you know that your story is an important story to tell. It's not finished. You've got tons of chapters.
Yep.
Heaven knows what direction it's going to take. This is just a new chapter. But being able to, you've said you've already heard from New Zealand. You've said you've already, heard from people outside the department and inside. You're going to have to remember the deets of all of this because they're going to be important. Are you taking that into consideration? Are you writing yourself notes? Are you talking to yourself on your phone as you're driving around? Because if you're not, you should.
Yeah, that's a great
people
suggestion.
Are gonna be
I
wanting to know.
I haven't done that yet, but that's a great suggestion. And you're right. It's like this whole new journey. This is a whole new chapter. I'm super excited about it. And what keeps me inspired is understanding like who I'm serving, which is the city of LA in regard to the community when they call us. But just as important, I'm serving our members.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, that young med student who became an EMT, who
Yeah.
ended up being a firefighter, who ended,
Mm-hmm.
this progression. I mean, the job must be done, but the story of the person that is doing the job is definitely going to resonate for a long period of time. All right, so that's my suggestion from this vantage point. But having said that, how does your family feel?
They have been so supportive. Even if I thought about it and was approached on this, my first conversation was with my family because understanding the impacts. I mean, it's a huge sacrifice, as we all know. Stepping into a whole new arena with more responsibility. Lots of spotlights, but they've been super supportive. Holland, my wife, is amazing. We've got 3 daughters, and they're all loving the attention, which is really funny. But they've been really supportive. And to our kids, they've got 2 moms that were, one's retired and was an incredible firefighter herself and did a lot of amazing things on the department. And then I'm just trudging through and, on to the next chapter. And they say, okay, what's next, Mom? I say, okay, this is what's coming. Are you in? Are you going to support me? Yeah, absolutely. You got this. Okay, so let's do it.
Given the fact that your wife was a firefighter as well, do you guys ever get away from the subject? Are you ever able to just let's talk about Disneyland?
Yes, we do. We talk a lot about our kids. We talk a lot about our strategies of how we're going to raise our kids. But it's nice also to have that connection. So just Holland can be my confidant as well, just where it's like, if I'm working through an issue, and she's been through it. She's 28 years on the job, well respected. So I'm super blessed to have her in my life in that regard too, not only as my life partner, but just as my partner, just right alongside of me. Because there's no way I would have moved forward if this wasn't the right thing for our family.
All right. Well, there haven't been. Being fire chief is an incredibly important thing, but is that the end for you? Is there any other carrot dangling in front of you that we have got to schedule you for 6 months from now?
No, there's no. This is my primary focus at this very moment. Just want to step in and just have a clear vision and communicate really well with our people. Be there to support them and listen and understand what our needs are. And just put my head down and work. So there's no agenda on that back end. It's just literally, okay, how do I support what our mission is? How do I support our people? And how do I support LA?
Well, sincerely, truly, and absolutely from the entire team here, congratulations, well deserved. And from this particular vantage point, thank you for taking this time because I know it's a very precious commodity for you right now. So best of everything, and we will follow you around like brand new puppies.
That sounds great. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
All right, take care.
Thank you.
And that's a wrap on this LA Current.